how does a simple idea, a single thought, spiral into the destruction of millions of people? It's a chilling question. In this explainer, we're going to dissect the anatomy of how that happens, tracing the path from a single lie all the way to a weaponized state. And we'll use one of history's darkest chapters to guide us. Our journey starts right here with this quote. It's a deeply cynical, but let's be honest, a chillingly accurate insight into how mass psychology works. This is really the engine for everything that's about to follow. The core idea that a lie, if you make it big enough, isn't just a deception. It becomes a powerful, powerful weapon. Right, but you don't just tell a lie that massive for no reason. It's never without a purpose. So that begs the critical question. What was the ultimate goal here? What was this huge deception actually designed to build? Well, the answer, the why behind it all, is found in a really specific and poisonous set of beliefs, the Nazi racial ideology. And you have to understand, this wasn't just some political talking point. This was an entire worldview. So what exactly was this ideology? At its heart, it was all about creating this totally fictional hierarchy of people. It sorted humanity into a supposed master race, and then everyone else, who they labeled as inferior. And let's be crystal clear, this had absolutely zero basis in science or reason. It was built on pure prejudice, and it was designed to create a permanent us versus them conflict. But here's the thing about a dangerous ideology. It almost never stays just in books or speeches. It becomes a blueprint. It becomes a concrete step-by-step plan to completely re-engineer an entire society from the ground up, all to serve its hateful goals. So, once you have that ideological blueprint, what's next? The next phase was to reshape the entire machinery of the state itself, to re-engineer a whole nation for one single primary purpose: war. And this leads us directly to the concept of total war. Now, this isn't just about armies fighting on a battlefield. No, this is where every factory, every farm, every single citizen is seen as just another cog in a vast war machine. The line between what's happening at home and what's happening on the front line, it's intentionally blurred until it basically disappears. And here is the really crucial point. This massive nationwide mobilization, it had a dual purpose. Because while one war was being fought against enemies on the outside, the ideology demanded another, much darker war, one that was waged internally, against its own citizens. This brings us to the most horrific application of state power you can imagine. This is the moment when the government isn't just a tool for fighting external wars, but it's turned inward and becomes a weapon against its own people. The result is what historians call an extermination state. It's a government that has fundamentally totally betrayed its core purpose. Instead of protecting its citizens, its institutions, the courts, the police, the bureaucracy, they're all perverted to systematically destroy the very people they are supposed to serve. And what's so terrifying is how simple this transformation really is when you break it down. You take the normal functions of a state and you just twist them into their opposites. Security for all becomes targeting a few. Managing the economy becomes state-sponsored theft. The law becomes a twisted justification for murder. And building public infrastructure becomes building the infrastructure for genocide. So the endpoint of this horrifyingly logical step-by-step process, starting with the big lie, building the racial ideology, and creating the extermination state, was the Holocaust. The systematic, state-sponsored murder of 6 million Jews and millions of other victims. Okay, so now that we've taken this horrifying machine apart, piece by piece, what can we actually learn from its components? What's the essential takeaway here? What is the warning that this anatomy of destruction is screaming at us? You can see it, right? It's a terrifyingly clear path. It all begins with a lie. That lie then gets built up into an ideology that splits society in two. The state itself is then completely rebuilt to serve that one ideology. And finally, that remade state is used as the weapon to carry out the ideology's final murderous solution. Which leaves us with one last, and I think vital question. This entire catastrophic chain reaction, it all started with just one component: the big lie. Understanding this whole process is a profound warning from history. And it really forces us to ask ourselves today, what makes a society vulnerable, and how exactly are these powerful, destructive deceptions constructed in the first place?